in the process of reparenting myself, I was very shocked to have such a huge misalignment with a lot of the things that I was seeing and experiencing. When I looked around, I was shocked, and I wouldn't say disappointed, because again, reparenting is about you. Reparenting is about you. It's not about your parents, okay? And so no matter what you see in the process, it's not about the other person, it's about you. And so for me personally, I was really shocked, but ultimately it made more sense about the things that I was feeling bad about the things that I was feeling uncomfortable about. It made more sense when I looked around. I was like, oh, okay, so it's a misalignment of like values, some misalignment of morals and beliefs, and so we cannot see eye to eye on some things, and that is okay. That is okay. That's why the reparenting happens, because you're like, okay, I don't think I agree with these values. I don't think I agree with this line of thinking. I don't think I agree with this kind of belief, and that is why the reparenting happens.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here.
Hi friends, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be all about reparenting. So if you grew up in an environment where you felt like you couldn't be yourself, or the affirming words and the actions were constantly clashing, then I promise you this is the video for you. So today's video is all about things you can do to reparent yourself, And without further ado, I'm going to add in the actual definition of reparenting, or like what it means to reparent yourself or what have you. But essentially, reparenting yourself is basically just raising yourself up, essentially from scratch. It's basically raising yourself up to match who you feel you are on the inside, right? And so while the definition is open to discussion, essentially that is what reparenting yourself is. That is essentially how it translates. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first thing you're going to have to do in the process of reparenting yourself is to affirm your sense of self-worth. Oh my god, talk about starting with the hardest. But it's true. I feel like as someone who is reparenting herself, I feel like that has been the most important place for me to start, because I feel like everything else will be a lot harder to do when I feel like I don't deserve it, or like I'm not worth it, or like I am less than, I'm lacking in some capacity, or that I have to compare myself to someone else, I have to shrink myself to fit into some kind of mold, or I should be more like this or more like that. And so I would say that affirming yourself is going to be the first and most important step of the reparenting process. You have to evaluate why and how you feel about yourself. Number one, how do you feel about yourself? Like, honestly. And if you grew up in a narcissistic environment, number one, in your heart, when you're by yourself, okay, first of all, let me layer this. If you grew up in a narcissistic environment, you're going to have a false, inflated sense of self. You will portray to other people that you think you're worth it, and you feel like you're worth something, but deep inside in your heart, you will know that you don't feel like you're worth anything. And I can attest to that, because I literally have spent my whole life faking that I feel like I'm worth something, but yet every decision I ever made, every person I ever dated, reflected the truth, which is that I never ever had a sense of self-worth. I never felt like I was worth anything. I never felt like I had any true value at all. And when I look back at the choices that I made, the people I attracted into my life, and even the jobs that I had attracted, even the clients that I had attracted before I started working on myself, they all reflected the truth, which is that I did not have an innate sense of self-worth. So if you're going to reparent yourself, this is going to have to be the first and arguably a mandatory step. You first have to ask yourself, how do you honestly feel about yourself? Oftentimes it's going to be bad. Oftentimes the truth will be that you don't feel like you're worth anything. You're going to feel worthless. You're going to feel useless. You're going to feel like you're lacking, or you're falling short, or you're inadequate in a lot of ways. And so that is going to be the first thing that you're going to address. You have to ask yourself, why do I feel worthless? Why do I feel like I'm lacking? But why do I feel like I'm not good enough? Like, why? Why is this happening? And I feel like, for me personally, I've talked about my experiences extensively. I have a podcast, and I believe this is going to be a podcast episode. So you can check out the podcast episodes I have I have intentionally put them in order of when they were posted. So the first podcast episode ever was about me talking about how I was being molested as a child. And I talked about the fact that I was being molested as a child because the predator had the opportunity to molest me. They saw that I was for the most part neglected, and that there would be no consequence of them molesting me. And so they took advantage of that. I talked about my own feelings of feeling like an abandoned child and neglected child, and in many ways unloved, because that was my lived experience. So I encourage, and these conversations I really had, they really cut deep into somebody's heart and soul and spleen. And I'm pretty sure that anyone else who is going through the same thing, I'm pretty sure you can relate. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the reasons why we're not honest with ourselves, because we don't want to look in the mirror, because we're afraid of what we'll see. But I want to tell you, as someone who finally looked into the mirror and had a good and proper cry, like, I feel like I now cry a lot more often, because I'm more honest with myself, and I'm more honest about my lived experience, and it doesn't make me feel hurt or inadequate because I did not back and then neglect myself. And I'm pretty sure that you're afraid of what you'll see, and I understand that, but I'm going to hold your hand and encourage you and just tell you that everything is going to be okay. Whether you look in the mirror and cry for a month, a week, or cry for 20 years, as I did, I want to tell you that you will get through to the other side. Whether it takes you a month, whether it takes you a year, whether it takes you 5 years or 20 years, I'm living proof that you will make it through to the other side. So the most important thing is to start. Just start by asking yourself, how do I honestly feel about myself? And if I'm feeling worthless, if I'm feeling inadequate, if I'm feeling less than, why do I feel that? That's going to be the most important step of you reparenting yourself. The second thing you're going to do in the process of reparenting yourself is to reevaluate your values, your morals, and your beliefs. Now, this is going to shock you, or maybe not. Maybe it just shocked me. But it definitely shocked me. In the process of reparenting myself, I was very shocked to have such a huge misalignment with a lot of the things that I was seeing and experiencing. When I looked around, I was shocked, and I wouldn't say disappointed, because again, reparenting is about you. Reparenting is about you. It's not about your parents, okay? And so no matter what you see in the process, it's not about the other person, it's about you. And so for me personally, I was really shocked, but ultimately it made more sense about the things that I was feeling bad about the things that I was feeling uncomfortable about. It made more sense when I looked around. I was like, oh, okay, so it's a misalignment of like values, it's a misalignment of morals and beliefs. And so we cannot see eye to eye on some things, and that is okay. That is okay. That's why the reparenting happens, because you're like, okay, I don't think I agree with these values. I don't think I agree with this line of thinking. I don't think I agree with this kind of belief. And that is why the reparenting happens. It doesn't happen so that you can villainize somebody. It doesn't happen for you to tell somebody, I'm right and you're wrong. That's not the point. That's not the point at all. The point of reparenting is for you to ask yourself honestly, what values do I believe in for myself? What decisions have I made in my life when I'm by myself that I feel good about? And what values govern those decisions? What do I feel in myself, in my heart and in my soul is what feels right and what feels wrong, and why? Reparenting allows you to build your values, your morals, and your beliefs from scratch. That is why it is so amazing. That is why it is so fantastic. And that is why it is so necessary. It is necessary because it will literally change your way of living. It will allow you to make decisions with your full chest, because you know that whether the outcome is negative or positive, it is an outcome that you chose for yourself. If you feel lost, if I say something and you're like, okay, like clarification, then definitely ask any questions in the comment section down below. I have been getting comments lately and I love it. Oh my god, I had no idea that the best part about content creation was interacting with people. Like, I love it. So definitely make sure you leave me a comment down below if there's something that I'm talking about and you're like, I would really like you to clarify on this particular thing. I don't really get what you mean, or like I wish you would explain it in a more 1+1 way. Then please definitely let me know in the comment section down below. The third thing you're going to have to do in the process of reparenting yourself is setting healthy boundaries. Now, this is going to be tricky, because when it comes to narcissistic family members or narcissistic parents, then we all know that boundaries don't work. Boundaries have a way of setting external boundaries have a very negative way of backfiring on you as the person who's suffering the narcissistic abuse. So when I talk about setting healthy boundaries, I'm going to be very clear and adamant here, and like specifically talk to people who are dealing with narcissists. When I say set boundaries, I mean set boundaries in yourself. Set boundaries in yourself is for you to talk about, for you to be clear about what are the things that they do that make you feel hurt or upset, and then be clear on that, and then ask yourself, okay, because I now know the ways in which they trigger me, I need you to ask yourself, how can I remove myself from this situation? Those are the boundaries that I mean. And especially for people who are dealing with narcissistic family members, we've talked about this quite a lot, is that oftentimes people who are in the confines of narcissistic relationships find that the only way to like really exit the drama is to cut them off or to just remove yourself. And so I would encourage you to really think about those boundaries, and remember that with narcissists, external boundaries don't work. So think about what you can do for yourself to preserve your own peace of mind, and know that it has nothing to do with the other person. Really, boundaries have nothing to do with the outside people. Boundaries have everything to do with you and your own peace of mind. So definitely keep that in mind when you're thinking about boundaries, setting boundaries, and that kind of thing. The fourth thing that you're going to have to do in the process of reparenting yourself is validating your feelings. Now, a lot of us grew up in homes where the word on the street would be, oh yeah, you know, you can feel your feelings, you can feel whatever it is you want to feel, it's okay for you to feel. But then when you express your feelings, it is met with rage baiting, darvo, and other negative things. So in the process of you reparenting yourself, you will need to really validate your feelings. Really validate your feelings. And I'm not saying for you to become a bad person where you actually do bad things and then validate your feelings. No, that would make you a psychopath, that would make you a narcissist. I mean, when you're feeling hurt and upset by something, I encourage you to sit in that feeling of hurt and feeling bad generally, because oftentimes when you're dealing with when you're in a narcissistic environment, you are rushed to feel your feelings because you being upset or feeling hurt or whatever is uncomfortable for the people. So in the process of you reparenting yourself, I really encourage you to constantly validate whatever it is you're feeling. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling betrayed, if you're feeling disappointed, really sit in those feelings. Ask yourself, I'm right now feeling betrayed. Why am I feeling betrayed? Really sit in that feeling and ask yourself, okay, I'm feeling betrayed because based on their past behavior, this goes against their pattern of behavior, or this goes against the things that they have said they will do, or this goes against the precedent that has been set before, or this goes against my expectation. Like really sit in your feelings and explore them. Ask yourself why you're feeling what you're feeling or how you're feeling. And that's going to be it's going to be so healing, it's going to be so freeing, and it's going to allow yourself to over time detach yourself from certain people, or detach yourself from certain environments, or detach yourself from certain situations, because you have now taken time to sit with yourself and whatever feelings you're feeling, because you've come to a place where you're asking yourself, okay, the last time that I invited this person into my life, this is what they did. So do I really want to invite them into my life again? Or the last time that I entertained this kind of thing, this is how it left me feeling. It left me feeling bad, it left me feeling worthless, it left me feeling inadequate in some such and such way, and I really don't want to have to deal with that kind of drama anymore. And the only way you will get to that kind of a space, that kind of a place, is if you validate your feelings and if you give yourself space and time to really sit in those feelings, whatever they are, whether they're good or whether they're bad, and really understand them for yourself. The fifth thing that you're going to do in the process of reparenting yourself is set routines that work for you. I'll say that again for the people in the back. In the process of reparenting yourself, you're going to have to set routines that work for you. As someone who spent like literally 8 years of my life in boarding school, I have a very negative relationship with routine because it was something that was imposed on me for 8 years. And this is not unique. I feel like if you're in Kenya and you are the age of, I would say, 25, if you're 25 plus, then most likely you were in a boarding school at some point of your life. And if you were not, then I have no idea why you're watching this video, because you should be a very well-adjusted individual. But in any case, even if you can't relate, even if you're in a group of schools and you're here, welcome, feel at home. Feel free to look around and test the vibe. If you like what you see, then feel free to subscribe and join the healing circle. Anyway, coming back to what you were talking about, which is in the process of reparenting yourself, you have to create routines that work for you. The process of reparenting is a process that should eventually allow you to feel safe in yourself, safe within your skin suit, okay? And a huge process of feeling safe is establishing things that invoke safety. And routines are a big part of that. Having a daily routine that works for you is going to go a long way in making you feel safe, in allowing your inner child to feel safe, which brings us to our next point, which is nurturing your inner child. Part of reparenting yourself is going to be so much of paying attention to your inner child. A lot of us underwent a lot of abuse as children. And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, I would literally rather die right now. I would literally rather unalive right now on the spot than go back to being a child right now. Like, if I was given a choice between one pill that literally ends my life right now and a pill that takes me back to being a child, I'm dying. I'm literally analyzing right now on the spot, I would literally rather die right now. Even if it's by guillotine, even if it's being shot in the head, even if it's literally something horrible and gruesome, I would literally rather unalive right now on the spot than go back to being a child. And that says a lot because of the options that I've just shared of how the various methods of unaliving. But it's literally that serious. It's literally that serious because I feel like being a child is the most disenfranchising thing. And I believe that kama kuna watu in society wenye hawana haki ni watoto, because they don't have a voice, and because they don't have a choice, and because they don't have a say, and because there's literally nothing that they can do to change their situation. Because they can't go anywhere and they can't do anything, they are abused mercilessly. And I'm pretty sure that someone, at least one person watching this podcast episode today, can fully attest to what I'm saying. Me myself, I was being molested in my family home for 4 years consecutively, or well, like 5 years, because you know how years work. So between age 5 and 9, I was being molested throughout. And so I can say with my full chest that there's no group of individuals on the planet who are as disenfranchised as children. And why I would literally rather die right now than go back to being a child. And I'm pretty sure at least one person watching this video can wholeheartedly relate to what I'm saying. And so in the process of reparenting ourselves, we really have to nurture our inner child. We have to pay attention to them, we have to love them, and we have to do everything that we can do to now protect ourselves as adults, and to basically, this is going to sound so redundant, but basically reparent ourselves, and in many ways do the things that we hoped that our parents would have done when we were children. We will find ourselves buying a lot of unnecessary things because if you grew up in poverty, then you know you have a very odd relationship with things, you have a very odd relationship with money. And so in the process of reparenting yourself, as somebody who's reparenting myself right now, I'm an extreme minimalist. I hate stuff. I hate stuff. I'm not the type of person who likes to, I'm not the type of person who feels good spending my money. And I'm pretty sure that when it comes to healing from poverty, there are two extremes. There are people who are extreme spendthrifts. Like, money cannot stay in their hands for literally 24 hours. It's like if they won the lottery, if they won $1 million US, which is 130 million Kenya shillings, if they won 130 million Kenya shillings, the equivalent of $1 million US today, obviously KRA have to take their cut. So KRA will take their 30%, which in Kenya would be 30 million, right? So they will be left with 1 million Kenya shillings. Literally by the end of the week, they'll be broke. And you know yourself. It's funny because it's true. I mean, if what I've just said triggered you, it's because you're here. You're this type of person where if you won $1 million US or 130 million Kenya shillings in a week, you will be broke. In fact, in a week, you'll probably be in a much worse state than that 1 million. That 1 million after KRA took their cut found you. And then there's the people on the other side who are over here, and I'm also over here. I am an extreme minimalist. I wear the same thing literally every day. I'm pretty sure you've seen this get up before, and you will see it for many more videos, because I am not a spendthrift. I'm not a spendthrift. I don't feel good about spending money. I feel very unsafe. Like, my body literally goes into fight or flight mode when I'm making decisions about money. I'm pretty sure every time I make a purchase, my body produces enough cortisol to put down an elephant. And so I'm definitely over here, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of other people can relate. And so in the process of reparenting myself, I'm definitely working really hard to heal my relationship with money, which will take a lot of time. I'm expecting it will take at least 20 years of my life for me to change how I think and feel about money, and I'm totally okay with that, because these things, like, these are things that we have grown up with. Like, growing up in an environment where financial security is just not a thing. It's not a thing. You've never seen it a day in your life. Me personally, I've never seen it a day in my life, and I'm pretty sure that there are people who can relate with that heavily. And so my encouragement to you is that keep working at it, because I'm also still working at it. I'm nowhere near the other side. I'm literally nowhere near the other side. I feel like I've literally just taken step number one, which is realizing that I have a problem with money. I have a problem with resources. And so it's something that I have to really think long and hard about, and it's something that I must prioritize in my life, is creating financial security for myself. And for me personally, I'm somebody who is a minimalist. Like, even right now as I talk with you guys, I'm considering selling my bed. I'm considering having a floor desk. I'm just looking at the things that I have, and I'm like, this feels unnecessary. It feels extra. It feels like I don't want it. And so, as I've said before, it is an ongoing conversation. It is a long conversation. It is a conversation that I expect to be going on for me personally for the next, I don't know, 10-20 years, before I can say that I feel financially secure. I feel really good about money, and I feel really good about the relationship that I have with money and that sort of thing. So in the process of validating and nurturing your inner child, just know that it's going to take some time, and that's okay. The seventh and final thing that, well, not final, this list is by no means exhaustive. I feel like it's like a truncated list. It's like the starter pack for reparenting yourself. So the seventh thing that you're going to have to do in the process of reparenting yourself is to celebrate your achievements, celebrate your accomplishments, celebrate the littlest, tiniest thing. Like, okay, for example, I geek out over any social media milestone that I make, because number one, it's a big deal for me personally. And so I don't expect other people to celebrate things that are a big deal to me. And so that is also, like, for me personally, it is a part of my reparenting, where I'm taking responsibility for celebrating things that matter to me. So it can be something that really is not a big deal to somebody else, which is okay, which is why we are reparenting anyway. As a process of taking ownership of our own things, our own lives, is going to be celebrating accomplishments and celebrating milestones that matter to us. I don't care if your milestone is that you didn't eat anything unhealthy for the week. Celebrate it, you deserve it. I don't care if your milestone is that you managed to water your plants on routine for a whole month. It doesn't matter. If it's important to you, then it is worth celebrating. If it is important to you, then it's an accomplishment. If it's important to you, then it's an achievement. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. And that is why the reparenting process is so important. It is so important. If you have the space and time to reparent yourself, I definitely encourage you to do. And if you don't have the space and time to reparent yourself, then I encourage you to create the space and time to reparent yourself. It is so important. It is going to change your life. It is going to change your life. I'm going to make sure that I write a recap of today's podcast episode. It's going to be in the description bar below. What else for housekeeping purposes? If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, then definitely consider subscribing and joining the healing circle. I'm aiming on posting a lot more frequently. I believe at this time I'm posting around twice a week. I would really like to ramp that up as we go along. So definitely make sure you subscribe and join the healing circle, and I'll see you in the next one.